friends, it's Nancy, and it's Friday, so it's Finish It Friday, and I have finished it. I've got 3 journals here that I want to do a little flip through up to let you know how they ended up. Some of these 2 for sure you've seen a lot of. This you've seen almost nothing of, so we'll just move that aside if I can. Okay, let's do some measurements. So this little journal is 6 1/4 wide by 9 1/8 high. It is a patchwork cover. I've used reproduction like 30s era feed sack fabrics, and it's a hidden hollow back spine. I think we have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signatures. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, there you go. So the inside is also covered in fabric, and I've just tucked in some ephemera, junk journal elements that I've made, and I've put this little I want to say hanky, but it's not, it's a doily, Nancy, right there to tuck that tag in. Here I have another doily, and I've pinned a little label on it with a little rusty safety pin and a shell button. And this is a photo of looks like 3 generations, doesn't it? And all the chickens. And the paper that it's attached to, get in there guys, is this is a rent agreement for a farm. I've added some trims. I've reinforced the folds with some fabric. This came from an old encyclopedia. I thought the colors here kind of really went well with the colors of the fabrics I used. And it's about grass, so, you know, farming. Some more vintage trim. This is some onion skin with a typed letter. This is a vintage crochet book. I got this little piece of linen. It was a little bag to hold handkerchiefs. I just cut the flap off because I like the strawberries so much. And I made this little card, collaged some paper, added some fussy cuts. And it's good for journaling. More vintage lace. Here's the bottom of that lease agreement. This is from a book about the Royal Mounted Police. More vintage trim. Some packaging. That's not a pocket, it's glued down just to give that a firm edge. These are some actual feed sack fabrics, and I made this tag journaling card by using some invoices. Can't remember what the company was. Anyway, fussy cuts, giant pearl button there, and some tatting. This is from a homemaker's accounts book. This is a very pale letter. It's quite old, but it's in good shape. But it is very pale. There's a little embossed area here, and it says hope. I thought that was so pretty. And the handwriting is gorgeous. This accounts book, I believe it was produced by a Yeast Company. It's I think this is some wrapping paper, actually. Another letter with some trim. This is a little flip out, and you can journal inside. And then I made this tag with a window envelope. It just tucks down here in the hole and then closes. This is cut from a vintage greeting card. Now, is this a tuck spot? Yes, it is. It is a tuck spot. And the paper clip comes off, and you can tuck something in that envelope. And this is a tag that I made, and it's got a large garden here, and clothes on the line, a little girl with her dog. I made these a couple of weeks ago, so there's a video. So it's an envelope that you can tuck things into, but it has several different pieces of paper, the embossed piano paper. That's from an 1870s book, this embroidery. That's from an old journal, a little bit of antique lace, and this photo of a little boy playing in a pond. And that just gets tucked down here. Let's make sure it's hanging over a bit. Another letter. This is a reproduction letter, though it's not actually genuine ephemera. This is part of a little recipe folder, brochure from a grocery store. And here I have another tag. I did this recently, didn't I? So it has some vintage lace, some stitching. More lace. Okay. This, I've got a little collage there. This is all genuine. That's a real milk ticket. This is from 1930 something calendar, and this is a real cigarette card. This flips open so you have room to journal. More lace. This is another picture or page from that encyclopedia. And here is another piece of vintage paper. It's another agreement from 1912. This is some old book page. This is a letter from 1916, and it's got a little pocket there, and I've put this little card in. But this also flips open, so you can put some journaling in there. There's a little photo. It's stitched to that page. It doesn't come out. A catalog of a furniture manufacturer. Old book page. Yeah, this is an agreement between Reuben Hollingdale of the township of no idea. Anyway, I reinforced that fold with some fabric. This is a pin that was holding papers together. Encyclopedia. page. It's from an old photo album. There's some more trim on wrapping paper. Book page. Oh, this came from a recipe book. And on the last page, I made this little acrylic acetate, pocket, and added these little mason jar elements that I made myself. I did that on a video. Book page. There's some more vintage. Well, that's antique lace wrapping paper. Here, that's the rest of that photo album. This flips open. I think this is a pattern for some petty point, is what that is. Made this little collage. Book page. Oh, this is this came from my mother-in-law. This was from her honeymoon. They drove out to California and they went through Oklahoma. So this is stationery from one of the hotels they stayed at. There's little tickets and things. This is for the turnpike. More vintage trim. This is a reproduction letter. This came from an old calendar. Just added a little tab with a vintage button there. Little pocket made from a, this came from a book about gardening. That's a vintage bingo card, and that's a Timmy Holtz. I covered it with tea-dye paper on the back. Book page. This is some old tax forms from the 1950s, I think. Made this little collage. It flips open. Yeah, and then the rest of the tax page opens up as well. Book page. This is a calendar that had farm equipment as the calendar page. More vintage lace. Here's some more of that Oklahoma tickets. A little note there. Another flippy outy thing. Book page. That's some wrapping paper. This is a doily that's embroidered. Destructive and useful insects. This is a wrapper from some iron-on transfers to do, embroider or whatever. This came from a book about fashion, some vintage trim. Here's the rest of that doily with this beautiful yellow rose trim on the wrapping paper. This flips open. It's a little envelope from 1948. It has this little cat that I cut out of a vintage greeting card. So you can put something in that envelope if you like. That flips open. This is a page from a stamp album. This is just some collage. This is actually an iron-on transfer that I ironed onto the page. That's some old, I always forget the name, composition paper. This was some wrapping paper, and that's some vintage trim. This is an old ledger. This is from 1915, and it had this page pinned to it, so I just left it. This is a map of Germany. Some more of that ledger. This is ruffle I made out of some vintage fabric. Here's another little tag I made. This is a label from a package of postal wrapping paper. It had labels and stuff in it. This is an actual legit seed package. It flips open. You can tuck something in there if you want, or if you want to glue it down on one side, it can become a tuck spot. I did a little collage here. This was a piano roll label, and that's an actual scrap, a German scrap. It's got a little bit of glitter. I don't think it's Victorian. It is old, but I don't think it's Victorian, although the silver glitter has tarnish, so it's more gray-black. This is a statement. It flips open. Music paper. This is a calendar from, we'll find out soon. Book page. Oh, here's my little chickens. So this flips out and opens up so you can journal on the back. But this is a vintage children's card on some textbook paper. This is some more of that agreement. Or no, it's another page. It's in the center. And to reinforce this area, I stitched some more fabric. It's a farm lease. Textbook, book page, 1915. That's where that's when that calendar was made. It has some calculations on the back. And in the back, I've made this journaling card and another little doily. So that is this patchwork journal. It kind of has, you know, a farmhouse, kitchen sort of vibe, you know, woman's realm. This one's Dreams, and it's an old book, and it is about 5 by 7.5. Spine, 1 1/8 inch. Again, hidden hollow back. I believe we have 5 signatures. Yep. Lots of vintage tatted lace. All of the edges are tatted. It's identical. It's not different. Usually I do different laces on the edge, like on this one. It's got a variety of laces. This one I went for samey same. So this book dates to 1908. Again, I put a doily in the center, or the end page. This fabric, I love it. It is Kathy Holden. And this is sort of my color palette, the greens and blues. The tag I made has some antique lace here, as well as this antique lace. Tea-dyed paper. This is from a music book, and I added some texture paste here. This is stationery from a hotel. It's a statement. This little thing here on the side, it is a tuck spot, but this itself is a tuck spot. So I've got a little word. My fingers aren't going to work today. So this can pull out. Am I going to get you back in? Oh, I got you in there. This is just a little fussy cut. But this is a tuck spot. And this is just a little paper clip. I put on some ribbon and some paper flowers, lace, little vintage stamp. I was trying to decipher which king that was. I'm not even going to try. This is that music page, and isn't that beautiful? Paper. Second signature. A little journaling card that I made. I did these embroidery stitches up the side. This is a letter. I can't remember the date. This is an invoice from a bank, writing paper. And this is a tax stamp. 1912 was the letter. Chicago. Did some more stitching up this side. And here's another little journaling card I made. A little collage. Some more tea-dyed paper. So this is mainly a writing journal. You can write your dreams in it, I guess. That's some letterhead. And this is authentic, it's not a printable. This is actually a receipt from 1852. I kid you not. But the paper is excellent. Yeah, it says December 24, 1853. Did this little collage. Here's another letter. I did some different stitches on that side. That's a vintage bingo card and some piano paper. This is a contemporary Timmy Holtz die cut. Whoop. So this letter, Mr. Luther Ford Jr., dear sir, this is a man writing to a farm about the availability of ducks. 1958. This is a tuck spot, but you can also open that up and do some journaling on there. And some antique lace. That's not antique, but I think the other four are. And this is an old piece of journaling, or ledger. This letter was from 1916. And I made this tag. I need to make some more of these tags. I really like how they turned out. So it was the front of an envelope from 1897. And some embossed ledger. So there's lots of old ephemera in here, including this beautiful tatted lace. I'm in camera. Okay. This is a little the bottom of a bag, and it just opens up so you can tuck hidden things in there. This is a telegram from 1937. This is a receipt from a life insurance company from 1900. Some steno paper. This has got some avocado dye on it as well. Last page has a fabric flip, so you can journal on the underside of this. And this has got some hand crochet. This is a vintage piece of lace here, came from an old wedding gown. That's a vintage button. I did some little cross stitches there, and you can also tuck stuff behind. In this doily, I have this collage tag. I like how that turned out. I did good, I think, with the color matching. But it's still got green. Okay, so that's dreams. And last but not least, this has been my pride and joy for a little while. This is a ginormous journal. It's just a bit over 7 by nearly 10 and a half. Spine is 1.5 inches, and it has this magnetic closure with a giant pearl button on it. Let me see if I can show you the back. Oh, a tag just fell out. So I've got old tanning, embroidery stitches, some applique, buttons that have stitches so they look like flowers. There's some old lace. This is some more tatting. That's crochet. This is, I believe this is machine made, but it's old. Some more old vintage buttons. And the fabric it's contemporary. It's older, but it's contemporary. And it comes from a coordinating group of fabrics from Moda. So it's quilt shop quality. Okay. I know where she goes. She goes right at the front. Oh, lots of texture here on the side with some fabric ruffles, lace, and these little charms that I made from a necklace kit. And I thought the colors went really well with this journal. All right, where are we? We're good. Okay. I can even go over a bit. Okay, here we are. Fabric inside, of course. This beautiful old doily. Love it. This is another tag. I thought it was glued down. It wasn't. It was just happy there. This letter is from 1896. I added some texture paste here and some embossed ledger. I'm going to stand up, make sure that I am. I can go a little higher again. All right, don't you move. You're perfect. Right there. I made this little tuck spot. So it has some doily, some buttons, more fabric, and I made this tag. And there's a space to tuck something in the back, more fabric, and it just tucks right in there. There's some vintage trim. And in order to get pages wide enough, I had to do a little bit of Frankensteining, so I've added a piece of music. I believe this is from a Jane Austen book. This came from a music book. This is an old book about weeds and seeds. Yeah, it is Mansfield Park. This is an old piece of linen. I haven't used it as a tuck spot or anything. I've just put it in because it's very fragile. It's got a little hole already, but the strawberries and the cherries, I love. Some ruffled fabric and crocheted lace, and there's a little charm there. And then I've just flapped that little linen piece over. This little tuck spot I made. This tag, I'm gonna have to do a tutorial on this because it looks a little complicated maybe, but it was so easy. Yeah, so I just pinned on this little crochet motif and added some sari silk, and it just tucks right in there behind this. I put a yo-yo on there to make it look like a flower. This is some dictionary page to further extend that need to have wider page. Some hand crocheted lace. This came from a gardening journal. It's some antique trim there too that I've tea dyed. Some manuscript paper. Some tea dyed paper. This is another music page. That flaps open. Here's another little charm. Has some knitted lace on top of a fabric ruffle. Here's an old chunk of lace and has some tatting on top of it there. And a vintage bingo card with a Timmy Holtz lady. She reminds me of Minnie Pearl. It's some tea-dyed grid paper. This came from an accounting book. Farm accounting, actually. I just about had a panic. I saw a little fluffy thing go flying by. I thought it was a spider. Oh, this is pinned on. So this is just some scraps and offcuts. And this is the back of an envelope. I love that. Need to make more of those, I think. Probably not. I probably have a few left. This is an old piece of ledger that Alice gave me. Thanks, Alice. This is from a typing book. I remember me doing this. This corner was torn off, so I reinforced it by stitching it back on. Here's another tag that I made with some sari silk. This is old ledger that's been embossed. This came from a vintage greeting card. I've done a little collage there. Some old ledger. We have another little charm here, and some hand crochet lace on a ruffle. I made this little cluster, but it's also a tuck spot. And again, I've made a tag. I've pinned on this little motif. That's some antique French lace, and it just tucks right in there. Got some tatting on this page. It's been Frankensteined. This came from a music book. This flips open and it has a little collage here. And I did some stenciling here just to add a little color. Tea-dyed paper. This came from a book of, I think, hardware. Another little floral hangy doobie. Some knitted lace on fabric that's been gathered. Here's a third tag. Got some vintage seam binding here, a little motif. And it slides right in there. This came from a book about wildflowers. Did a little collage here. This is an old book page. It was from somebody's Aunt Fanny. I added a little piece of lace there. And I used fabric as the hinge. Excuse me. Little picture of a boy cutting the grass. That's some vintage wedding lace, wedding gown lace. Embossed piano paper. This came from an 1870 book. And it's an envelope. And last but not least, I've got some filet crochet stitched on top of this ruffled fabric. Another charm there with a beautiful red leaf. And in the back, another doily. And I made this little folder from a window envelope. It's got a little tuck spot in the back. Excuse me. And a little tuck spot inside. So, if you are seeing these journals, they are going to be in my shop on Friday evening, June the 2nd at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you care to take a look at these on my Etsy shop, go on over at 7 p.m. and see if they might make a happy home at your house. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.